and welcome to the Daily News. Marshall Ferguson, Mike Daly, at TSN_Marsh, at Daily News 8, at CF Perspective is where you can find us on the social channels. Mike's Twitter is fire.
Come check it out.
You can check out Fox 40 gear products to make your combine run smoothly, or your season if you're in season already, or training camp because you're getting ready for the summer season. I know summer football is coming around and everybody's getting set for the fall as well. You can shop whistles, stopwatches, ball pumps, and more. Fox40shop.com. Use the code CFP15 at checkout for 15% off of your entire order. Coming up on the show today, we have a little bit of a week one recap, quick little toss around here. If you want more of that, we'll hopefully have some of that for you, the breakdown later on in the week. I am going to call the Winnipeg-Ottawa game coming up this Friday, and convenient because Derek Taylor, the co-host of the breakdown, will be in the same hotel. So we're just gonna sit down in person and do the podcast together in the hotel in Ottawa. I'm hoping coming up on Friday. And a little tidbit for you here. I am going fishing with Brad Sinopoli on Thursday.
Come on.
So I'm hoping to record a podcast in the boat with Brad Sinopoli on Thursday of us just shooting the shit, hanging out, trying to catch some fish in the Rideau River.
So, that'll be awesome. That'll be a fun time, man.
Yeah. What were your experiences like playing against Sinopoli, Mike?
Well, we had played against each other in university, so we kind of knew who each other were. I mean, I knew who he was a little more than he knew who I was because he was a bit older.
Yeah.
And then we started to do some community events, and that's where I met him. Is I would meet him at some of these like CFL community events, and just talking to him, he's a beauty.
He's the nicest human on the planet.
Yeah, I don't know how else to put it. He's just super nice, like outgoing, and you can see why he'd be open to fishing with you and doing a podcast and getting out there. But yeah, he's a good guy. And I mean, he ruined, like we said before, he ruined the Canadian quarterback position for a long time because they're all like, go play receiver because he did it so well. But it's cool. It's cool to see him that he's still involved and now that all he wants to do is fish.
Anytime that somebody says to me, football's a cutthroat world, it's a business, you got to be an asshole, you got to fight for your job, you got to be mean to people, you got to break knees, I just go, Brad Sinopoli is one of the greatest Canadian receivers I've ever seen, and he could not be more of a ray of sunshine. Also just like guys though, but also just like super skinny and just like probably didn't have the right to do the things that he did, but he was just like great at football, and I loved watching him play so much. That 2018 season where he broke the record for Canadian catches in a single season. I cut together the reel. I went back through and just searched on this like thing that the CFL internal film had of like Sinopoli catches. And I just grabbed them in chronological order. And I actually posted them on my YouTube page just as a cut up of like, I wanted to have a record of every catch that Brad Sinopoli made throughout the entire year. It was like 118 or something stupid like that. And I love watching it because it's like, it's the simplest stuff. It's the like, little crossing route or a little sit between zones or a shot to the flats or whatever it might be. And he just did it so effectively and with a smile on his face and was the best ambassador for the CFL. And yeah, so I'm excited just to catch up. And I want to bust him a little bit on, do you remember that dribble kick that they tried to do? I think it was like Friday Night Football against Winnipeg, actually.
Yeah, I do remember that.
They caught behind the line of scrimmage on like 2nd and 20 and we're trying to like dribble it past the line of scrimmage so he could dive on it and get a fresh set of downs because they thought they had like reinvented the wheel and found cracked the code of what was possible. And he like totally duffed the dribble and then just got obliterated. And like the other team got the ball at like their 15-yard line or something. I was like,
that's where they practice it and like walk through with no one around, no pads, no helmet. And so like, hey, yeah, good kick, Brad. That'll work. And then
let's take the skinniest guy on the field, have him dribble kick it into a linebacker's chest. And
people probably go up to him and be like, you're an athlete. Well, volleyball, maybe. What do you play?
Well, this is the thing. Like his dad was a coach at Crestwood High in Peterborough, and here's my earliest experience of Brad Sinopoli that I always tell the story. So if you've heard it here on CFP, I apologize. But when he was at Crestwood in Peterborough, I was at Frontenac High School in Kingston, and the way that the OFSA Bowls were set up at that point, the National Capital Bowl, essentially Kingston had to go through Peterborough Kawartha in order to get to the champions of either the Kawarthas or Barrie, and then they would play against the champion from Ottawa. So it was basically like Kingston and West versus Brockville East towards Ottawa, because there's so many different schools playing in Ottawa, and it's such a great football city. So I was like a grade 9 or grade 10 kid, and Frontenac, my high school, was in I think an office semifinal or a quarterfinal, and it was in Peterborough. And I went to the game, and Brad Sinopoli was the quarterback for Crestwood High School. And I didn't know who he was. Again, super tall, lanky, athletic. I make fun of him being like skinny and lanky, but the dude's a freaky athlete. Like he really is. He's super fast. And you watch his touchdown run in the 2010 Yates against Western, where he's like shoulder pad falling off. Like, but which, by the way, Cirilla Jetty, that's a flag, man. You can't block backwards like that.
Now it is. Then it was a great block.
Oh, it was great at the time.
Crackbacks and decleat somebody.
Exactly, just murdered somebody right into their chest. But but Sinopoli in that game, I found out from the coaching staff when I got, because he was great in that game. But then I asked them down the road, because he was playing at the University of Ottawa as a quarterback. I'm like, hey, that was Sinopoli that night, eh? That you guys played against, because it was the same senior football coaching staff at my high school. They go, yeah. And I was like, he was pretty good. They go, Marsh, you don't understand. Every drive, he was calling his own plays, and he would pick a different defensive back and just go to work on him, because he thought the best thing to do was just to tire out that defensive back on that drive. And so it was like, this is the field corner drive. And it was like, every concept was, let's go 3-by-2 and then motion the 2 slot back across and like put that field corner on an island, and we're going to run 7 different types of routes against him like it's on air. And then the next drive,
kids quit football that year.
Yeah. And like,
we had this anymore.
My senior football team,
400 yards.
My senior football team was pretty good, and they had like good defensive backs and stuff, but he just picked on, like, there were DBs from that high school team that went to Guelph and Laurier, and there were some OUA starters on that team. Did not matter. He just shredded them. So I always think about that in terms of, imagine having the superpower to not only call your own plays, have a mastery of your own playbook, but also to understand which person you wanted to go at, and then just start rotating the DBs you wanted to go at, because you knew you could beat all of them. I'm like, ooh, that's a hell of a thing to be able to do.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the thing is you see it now in the CFL. They'll do that, and that's kind of jumping somewhere else. That's kind of why you don't see a lot of Canadian corners, because what you'll end up seeing is they'll rotate, like you said. They'll go 2-by-3. They'll take the number 2 strong. They'll rotate them over, so pretty much leave that one receiver out there, and they'll just go to work. And even if they'll put their best receiver out there, and the field is so wide. I mean, before it was, now it's a little less wide, but before it was so wide that there was so many different routes you could run, and you'd have to show if you were going to help them early, because you have to track that receiver over, or you'd have to leave a guy back there to be like, you're not throwing here. Right. And then you'd work your numbers to the boundary side. But that's kind of why you don't see those Canadian corners anymore, because number one, coaches don't think that they can cover as well. Right. And number 2, it's also like, probably because they just know that if we go at this guy enough times, we're going to be able to get him.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't see it all that much anymore.
Well, that actually leads me into something I wanted to ask you about here off the top, just for a minute or two. I added tracking formations into my data tracking for this season. It's adding a lot of time, unfortunately, to me actually getting through games, but it's interesting stuff, because I want to see definitively who are the best teams in quads, who are the best teams in 32, 23, when there's a fullback in the game, 3-by-1 by who likes to go weak strength, or on and on and on. And the thing that I noticed, there were 2 teams in week 1 that really set a trend in this. One was Winnipeg, ton of quads, 4-by-1, a lot of it. Okay. And I thought that was interesting. The other thing was Ottawa, more than any other team, they went 23, which, if people aren't familiar with the terminology, that essentially means that ball is on, let's say, the left hash, and the typical formation, if you want to call it typical, would be 32, right? So you're 3 receivers to the wider side of the field and 2 into the boundary. And man, La Police just like almost, I haven't crunched the numbers on it yet. I'll have actual numbers by the time I hit the broadcast booth on Friday night, but they must have been more than 50% of the time, probably 60, 65, 70, if I had to guess, just off of the tracking in 23. Like, they were just putting 2 receivers to the field and saying, go to work. We got space out here. but it's also because there's more room into that boundary where they must feel more comfortable putting three into the short side now than they typically would. Why do you think that became more prevalent? And do you think because you've played against Winnipeg and Buck Pierce's offense and Claros and all those guys, why do you think they also were so heavy quads? It could have just been single game planning, obviously, but I wonder whether or not it's going to be a trend going forward for both of these teams because it really jumped out compared to a lot of other clubs.
Yeah, I think what you tend to see is there's certain teams you'll play against that. So there's this thing called defenses either are a checking team, meaning they'll audible the play, they'll change the play dependent on the formation,
Right.
or they're a play it team. So whatever play comes in, no matter
Yeah.
where these receivers line up, whether it's empty, no running backs back there, it's 41, right? It's 14, 23. They won't check. So they're just going to play their play. That's tougher to deal with for offense because then you can call any play, but it requires a ton more communication on defense because anybody that's watched a CFL game, you can go from 32 set to 23 to 41 all before the snap of the play.
Yeah.
So you could imagine if you're trying to play a call and there's all these different rotations that are required in this call, right? That's a lot of communication. And that's where busts happen. And that's where coaches are nervous about busts. So what other coaches will do to combat that is they'll say, okay, when they go 41, we're going to have these two plays that we check into. Unless it's a full out pressure where we're just man to man and we can track these guys everywhere. But then the offense will see that because then they'll see the free safety going across. They'll see the boundary half going back across. They'll see whatever, and the Sam staying, whatever it might be. They'll be able to pinpoint that off. And then if they do check, like, so I would imagine in that game, Ottawa was checking their 41 check. So they would play these specific plays. So then Winnipeg just sits there early on in the game. They'll go into 41 a couple of times. The guys up in the booth will say, okay, it looks like that boundary half is tracking that number 4, but he's staying high. So then what we'll do is we'll then bring him back over. Now we know we have numbers to the field. So maybe we'll run a screen because that boundary half isn't coming all the way over. Mm-hmm. Right. So what it is it's just, okay, what are they playing? And now we'll take advantage of it. So they're essentially drawing up plays in the game once they realize what check they have. And week one's a little tougher because you're like, okay, I don't know what these guys' checks are because they might have changed them in training camp. But once you go down the season, week 8, 9, 10, when they have a little bit more information, they'll be like, oh, we know they're going to be in this in 41. We know they're going to be in this in 23 on these downs and distances. So this is where we're going to draw our play up to beat their checks. Mm-hmm. And then that's where you'll see when those teams will be like, okay, we know that they don't practice 41 as much. We know they don't practice 23 as much. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll keep an eye on it as I continue to track, and we'll talk more about it as the season goes on. The other thing we wanted to mention before we get to this week's interview here on the Daily News is the running back situation in Montreal. William Stanback goes down. Thankfully, it was an ankle. Man, I hate playing amateur doctor, but I thought that was a MCL at least. Watching his knee hyperextend on the inside, I'm like, that's got to be the MCL. But thankfully, it was an ankle. Dude is just an absolute horse. So his body's built differently than anything I've ever experienced. And he is out. Jesron Antwi comes in, shaky moments here and there, but then busts a 70-yarder and then plays well the rest of the game and earns it, right? Looks like he's like, hey, you're the backup. And everybody in the media coming out of that game is like, they're going to have a Canadian running back in Montreal. Nope.
No, and
well, we don't know, but there was a trade made here that you and I both looked at, and we were like, "This is classic CFL of yeah, we love the Canadian guy. The Canadian guy played good. Good for him. Congratulations." Also, we're trading for Walter Fletcher.
Yeah, and that's how it works. That's what people don't understand. Unless you're a team that has a crazy amount of Canadian depth, right, where you can rotate and you have a couple starters that are starters that aren't starting on your team, but they're capable of coming in, right? Like Hamilton right now with Ted Laurent. They know if something happens and one of those D tackles go down, they can start Ted. And then they have a little bit more flexibility to move Canadians around. When you're a team that only has a certain amount of starters and you decide that, okay, this position's American, what's going to happen is because of the roster rules, you're going to have the Canadians that have to be the backups. But now William Stanback's out. They said running back's an American position. And what they're going to do is they're going to go out and get a guy like Walter Fletcher. They trade for him, right? So that's more serious than just picking a guy up. I'm going to say, you're going in at running back. Jeshaun, you're back up again.
Love you.
That's how it's going to go. And it's so unfortunate because, and I hope he starts. I hope he does.
Yeah, same.
I really hope Antwi starts because, you know, you just need experience to get better. And that's what's going to end up happening. He's, you know what I mean? But it's just the way it works.
This is the thing that was frustrating for me. He's ready. Like the 70-yard run that he had, he bursts through the line of scrimmage, goes north-south. There's two defensive backs who converge on him, and he looks like Standback. Like he's running, and two dudes hit him at the same time on both sides. He's just like, bow! And he bursts through them and then hits the Jets. And yeah, Trey Roberson caught him because Trey Roberson can catch anybody. But It's like...
Almost fumbled, though.
Well, I almost had flashbacks to the Deshaun Amos tracking.
That's what I was thinking.
Tracking down Ricky Collins Jr. It was the same corner in Calgary in week 1. I was like, this is going to be the exact same thing. Like 80-yard play for Ricky Collins Jr. in week 1, 2021. Oh. Bang, gets popped out by Deshaun Amos, who now is an Argo, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, we'll see how that shakes out with Montreal, their running back situation. But
that's the world of the CFL.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when you design a spot as an American, you're going to find another American to put in. And I think Davis was the one that said it. Might have been Davis or Milt. He was like, yeah, another American will be in. And it's too bad, man, because give this guy a shot.
The interview this week, if you have clicked on this podcast, you are probably waiting to hear from the man himself and not us rambling around. So we will get to it now. It is Simoni Lawrence. Just a quick little 30-second synopsis here, Mike, of your chat with Simoni. I haven't heard it yet. I'm excited to listen to this.
Yeah, it was good to get him on. I mean, obviously we talked about the hit a little bit, but we also just talked about his energy and the type of guy that he is and what people don't see behind the scenes, because he's one of the best leaders, best teammates I've had. And I had to get him on so that everybody could kind of see who Simoni is behind closed doors. And he's the exact same guy you see on the field. He's the best teammate. You'll see how he talks about his teammates in this interview. But yeah, he's such a good teammate of mine, and I'll defend him with every one of these things just because he plays hard and he's playing football the right way.
There you go. Simoni Lawrence right here on Canadian Football Perspective.
Simoni Lawrence. Sim, my friend, what's going on, man? I love the glasses. I tell you what,
I just want to give you a freaking hug right now, dog. I miss you, man. Oh
man, I miss you guys too. So you especially, man, you pop on with those sunglasses. I've noticed you've got a pair of those and you've been wearing those things any chance you get.
Yeah, we're gonna get a pair out to you for sure, Mike.
Hey, get management to send one.
For sure, we are on it.
All right, man. Listen, I wanted to get you on. First of all, because, you know, you're one of my good buddies that's been around this league. I appreciate everything you do, whether it was on field, off field, the leader you are, that type of stuff. But number one, the thing I want to open this thing up with is the amount of energy that you have, because what people don't understand, they see you on the field, right? They see you talking to people in interviews, but that's like 7:00 at night. I'm telling you, you get into the stadium at 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and that's the same Simoni that you see at that. Like, people are walking in like this, like haven't even had the coffee yet, and you're exactly the same person you are, which I appreciated the most. Where the heck does that come from, man? How do you keep that?
Great morning.
Every morning, man.
It's a great morning.
Where does that come from? How do you get that? How do you stay awake that whole time?
Well, first of all, I'm wired different, of course. And then but nah, man, it's one of those things where it's like, I really appreciate my job and love my job. You know what I mean? Like, people don't really understand, like, what I'm in right now is kind of like a dream. You know what I mean? Like, everything I do is mad fun. Like, I get to do cool things. I get to play football at a high level. I get to be amongst a bunch of other great men that love it and have the same common goal as me. Like, there's like, I wake up and like, all right, let's go. Like, who's the first one at the stadium? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's really just a blessing.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. Everything that you take with this is you're just like a big kid. Man, it doesn't matter how old you get. I could imagine you were the exact same way when you were playing, you know, little kid football, right? Like, it's just a big kid in there. But I think what people don't understand is you are that same person in meetings, in early morning lifts, whatever it might be. You're that big kid, and it rubs off on the team and you can see it. And that's probably why you've been around the league for so long, because you truly love the sport you're playing.
For sure, Daly. Like, I just love football. And then I love playing up here. Like, like you can really like tell yourself what's going to happen in the season, in the beginning of the season when you first go through camp. Like, all right, I remember in 2018, I just came off like, I only had like 68 tackles, whatever. And then everybody was like, oh, you're slowing down, you're slowing down, you're slowing down. And I'm like, yo, it was just, I was in a different kind of situation, right? So then freaking, it's 2019. I hear my favorite defense is coming back, 2013. and then the reporters are talking to me and they're like, hey, Simoni, how do you think? I'm like, I'll probably get defensive player of the year, honestly. Like, straight up, like, yeah. Like, yo, I'm telling you what's gonna happen. And like, you know what's gonna happen in this league, like, especially just how small the league is. And like, if you really have an understanding of football, you really understand what's gonna happen.
Oh, dude, and the longer you play, the easier the thing gets. But you're right, man. You're right. Because you're talking 2018. Like, people don't understand when there's a certain scheme put in place, you can only make a certain amount of plays. You can only make the plays that you're responsible for. I mean, you can make your hustle plays, and that's probably why you had, still a lot of tackles, but people talking like, he only had 70 tackles. Like, bro, that's somebody's good year. You know what I mean? Those are starters' good years. And like, that just goes to show the type of player you are and how good and dominant you've been. But does it truly just get easier and easier and easier?
Mike, you would know, because like Mike's over here being helpful to you guys. Actually, doesn't truly get easier. Like, yo, let's act like Mike used to get kicked out of practice because he knew where every route was gonna go in the route tree, and he was picking everything up. They're like, yo, Mike, just get off the field, man. Like, he's asking, doesn't? Yes, it gets easier.
Hey, look, I got a microphone in front of me now, so I got to start acting like I'm doing something a little different, right? But man,
for sure. Yeah, you know it is.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see it out there. You're just having more and more fun as it goes on, right? But listen, you decided to stay in Hamilton for the majority of this offseason.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, so when the word came out with the CBA about having these the nationalized Americans, you're the first person that popped in my head. And the reason for this isn't because you've been with the team long, like you have been with the team long as hell, but really what it's about is how much you mean to the community, and not even the sense that, you're out there doing, like, how much the community truly loves you, because again, that talk about that infectious personality. Everywhere you go, you're taking, dude, I heard you were taking bar classes.
hey, Ferguson, you rat.
Hey, but you're there, you're in it, you know what I mean? You're doing that stuff, and that's where people get to see you. So when I started hearing that this was coming in, I'm like, you know what, this is a good plan, because it keeps, maybe it'll have, down the road 20 years there'll be another similar Simoni situation where it's somebody that really wants to like be a part of the community and be involved in that kind of shit. And like, that's what you did, and that's why you are where you are and who you are, right? But I mean, you tell the people, like, what did it mean to you to stay here in the off season and like really get more and more entrenched rather than just in the season?
Like, how it's like, it was always hard because it was like, yo, there's so much I could do here if I stay all year round. And like, I just had like other obligations I had to go back home to every time. And then like it presented itself. And like, I just talked with management, and like, they were super supportive of everything, helped me get set up and do everything. And it was just one of those things where I was like, yo, like, any kind of community we can do, let's do. Like, I'll do like 4 a day, whatever, like, let's get to it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I feel like I owe the city a little bit. They get a great season from me and a little pop-up during season, but like, I'm gonna really give it to the city. So like, we just teamed up and we were doing 4 appearances a day, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. NHL came to town, took care of them. Let's get it. Like, you know what I mean? We're just grinding and it all felt so good. Like when you're doing things like that you actually like love to do and stuff, like going and seeing the kids at the schools and stuff, like it doesn't even feel like work. It feels like something I'm just supposed to be doing, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's mad fun. And I feel like when you go into those kind of environments with that kind of attitude too, that's how you get people to get like fall in love with you and stuff, because like, you know, you feel the real, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's like one of the things I take pride in too.
Well, it's that superstar treatment, right? Like, I mean, you get to do all those special things in the city. No matter what city you're in,
Yeah.
you get to do those special. And now, not to mention, you do a couple appearances a day, and you know it looks pretty nice on the bank account too, right?
Yo, stop it, Daly. I'm the lowest paid linebacker.
Hey, oh man, that's another thing, man. That's the crazy. When I saw that, there was a tweet that was put out there about all the top paid guys. And the first thing I see is, oh, top paid guys in the league at each position, boom, boom, boom. Looking through it, Simoni first comment. And it was, but man, you know what I and again, you were probably one of the realest people I played with, because of the reason that like you will just say what you're thinking, and you truly dislike who you play with. Because, and listen, because this is where it gets to is once you get to this pro world, what ends up happening is everyone knows that they can kind of move around a little bit. So everyone just starts being like brother-in-law with everybody. You know what I mean? Hey, how you doing? Hey, great season so far. Hey, you're doing awesome. You know, I mean, make a tackle. You both stand up like you're going to say something. The guys, hey, really good tackle. And I was always like, what the? Like, I can't be nice to these guys. You know what I mean? But you are truly that on social media. I mean, I see it all the time. Somebody says something to you and you shut them down right away. No, don't play that with me. And is that for a mindset thing, or do you actually truly just?
Yo, but like, no, it's one of those things, Mike, where it's like, yo, you know these kids, man. Like, I don't care if they like go get like a little job and stuff, like, and like they're behind the scenes, but like, yo, like you're literally like a kid, like on the football field. You know what I'm saying? Like we played together. We did like pinky. And it's just like, yo, that's just the life with it, you know? And like, I take it so personal just because like, I really feel like we're playing for each other out there, right? And it's like, yo, I'm thinking about Brooks. He plays next to me. He has 2 kids. You know, like, and you know, you get paid when you win games, and like that's how you keep everything together. So you're playing for each other to hope everybody gets paid. You know, Coach O, he has daughters. You know what I mean? Like I like that stuff comes to my head. You know, so I can't imagine like going into a battle where it's like it's a physical game, and you know you're trying to embarrass the other team and make them lose, and like put other people in bad situations. You know, a losing streak could like lose some jobs and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I just can't understand how anything could be friendly about that. Like, that's mad serious, right? Especially if it's your career, right? Like,
yeah, and when you put it like that, you're exactly right, because you know what happens when you're on. We've seen it enough times.
You know what I mean?
You're on a losing team. I mean that locker room is a revolving door. People in out. It doesn't even matter who you are.
You know what I'm saying?
In and out, and also one of your buddies is all right. He's shipping down. He's not playing anymore. It's like, so why am I going to let up a little bit because I decide that I want to be nice to this person?
Right.
Why am I not going to try to hit them as hard as I can? Because you're right, man. It's somebody else. It's not just you anymore. It's Coach O. Because those are the first people to go.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? The people that you really need, you know, imagine a new staff comes in and then, you know, they take away like a Newton from me or something. I would cry.
Hey, you know what I'm saying, God, you said it like that. Poor Newt, man.
What? I love Newt, yeah.
Yeah, but man, and I hear you. And that, like, Yeah, that shit. That's what really makes me like appreciate what you're doing out there, right? And that's what people don't understand. So now, when you start hearing all this shit that comes up, and we were gonna get to it, but where we're like Simoni's dirty,
Yeah.
Simoni's dirty, right? And these are people. The problem with this is these are people that haven't played the sport at this level.
Bro, listen, but like it's so dangerous. Hey, can you give me my phone? I'm sorry, Mike, my phone. I gotta let you listen to this clip, Mike. Like it's getting actually dangerous, like the people that talk about football. So the guy's reasoning of me running, right? And Cody spinning off like, about to get tackled. And then I'm coming in to make sure he doesn't get any extra yards. So I'm going in with my forearm to stop the ball if he tries to reach out or anything, or just like you can control yourself better like that. You're bracing for impact. This guy told me that for me coming in like that, that was aggressive and that was me doing it. And this is how he told me to do it. He's like, if Simoni was trying to be safe, he's like, if Simoni was trying to be safe, he would have went, everybody knows you go hands first. He wants me to break my neck. Because like, how do you even brace for impact like this? You know what I mean? Like, what do you do? So like, what if Cody comes and his head swings around, boom, hits my neck. I break my neck. I'm done because I'm listening to this guy on television telling me that, if I want to like be what if a kid like really dislikes me in Saskatchewan? It's like, I don't want to be like Simoni Lawrence, so I'm gonna use that guy's method and like brace myself. Like if the kid breaks his neck because you're listening to people like that talk about sports that it has no business. I get the entertainment part, like, all right, if you want to be entertained, just be entertainment, funny, all that. But don't talk sports, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't talk like people are really playing it, Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Because at no point, there's a difference between playing aggressive, fast, and playing hard. And then there's a difference between playing dirty. And listen, I played with you a long time and I've played against a lot of people.
Right.
And there's a difference between playing fast, aggressive, and that. So let's just take that one hit that's being talked about right now against Cody. What if you pop that ball free?
It's a fumble because it's up.
Hey, and could you guys have used that right then?
You know what I mean? Bro.
And listen, it happens fast. Somebody's wrapping him up. He's spinning around. You are coming in fast because this game, what people don't understand, is a violent game. And if you're not going to play violent, guess what? You're not on the team. Hurt. You're going to get hurt, number one. And if you don't play fast and violent, you're not on the team.
Right.
Because
like,
that's just
and then that notion, it's like they try to make it like, oh, it's like they're labeling that person violent, like it's a notion where it's like a bad, so it's dirty, But like, I'm sitting there like, there's people that on special teams that run full speed as fast as they can, and they crash into another grown man. Do you guys know like what's going on out there? And you guys like, and like, I just don't like the dirty part. You know what I mean? Like, dirty is like getting uppercutted under the thing. Dirty is getting spit on. Dirty is getting clothesline, not football stuff. You know what I mean? Like, listen, that's dirty. Yeah.
There are people in the league. There are people in the league right now that are dirty.
Dirty.
That I've played against personally and have gotten my on the behind the play. The guys going out of bounds and have had the back of my ankle stepped on as somebody's pretending to jog by in that huddle when after the play, somebody's spitting in your face. Right?
You know what I mean? Or the big O lineman giving you the little extra things on your ankle. Like, come on, man! Like
getting up with the forearm on your neck.
About like if I could literally make a highlight tape of stuff and like that would shock the world. Like, it's crazy, man. But like, come on. But like, the great ones, like we take all that stuff to the chin. I'm like, all right. You know how many times like I get illegally hit throughout a game, and I don't even cry no more. I just like, this is part of the game. Let's get to it. Like, these guys aren't, you know what I mean? I'm gonna say nothing about it. So like, this is part of the game. This is what I gotta go through. It's like when somebody's holding you, Daly, what are they holding?
Damn, a paycheck.
They holding that paycheck.
See, and that's the thing. Whenever you dial this all back, and it's that Simoni's a dirty player. Look at who's saying it. It's people that honestly, it's people that haven't played the sport before that'll look at it in slow motion when it's a full speed sport. You are already like, if you look at how you hit everybody, You're one of the best tacklers because, hey, can't run with no legs.
Can't run with no legs.
So you're taking everybody, and that's how fast you're playing it. Everybody sees you don't slow down during hits. So when somebody gets spun around, when somebody's fighting for extra yards, listen, I promise you that when I used to play and I never got called dirty, the hardest part on my body playing was my helmet. And I would jam my helmet in whatever body part came up first so that I could stop you from moving forward. And the only problem is that because you make a ton of tackles every season, right? Because you're talking shit in between plays, but not doing a thing dirty. I've played with you a long time.
You know,
I haven't seen one thing that's offside. I've seen you chirping guys, which is great, right? Which is funny because everybody does it. People can just see you doing it, but everybody does it. And I've just seen you make a lot of tackles and hit people hard. But for some reason, you're the one getting labeled dirty. When
it's just everything's on such a high level, Daly. Like, bro, 19, the season we all had. Come on, bro. Like, that was like, if somebody else does that kind of season, they're probably gonna like give him like alt world or something, you know, right? And then shortened season, whatever. Freaking front end of the season, literally scoring touchdowns all day, and you know what I mean? It's like if somebody else gets those kind of stats, they're going all world. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you understand what the game is. You always get it and stuff. But man, it's fun, bro. Like it's the game, yo. And if you either love it or you don't, and I love it.
And that's the thing, man. And that's what you can see. You can see that. And that's why you play hard. And again, and the reason I'm talking about this is because it's, front and center right now, just because I hit. But people don't understand, like, if you pop that ball free, if you stop him from getting a first down, if that next play, right, you stop him, it's, now 2nd and 6, and they get 4 yards. That's the difference between a punt. That's the difference between winning a game. That's the difference between
and think about, that's the think about. This is how I think about it. That 4th and 1, I stop him right there. Like, say it's a playoff game or whatever. You don't know what this game's gonna get us to, or you never know what game you really need until you're in the back of the season fighting for your life. You know what I'm saying? And that could be like, oh shoot, Daly get another month of Huggy diapers.
Yeah,
like I did that. I feel good now. Like, let's go. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you gotta rep who you with, man. Like, that's why I don't play with these other guys on other. No, man, I'm really out here, riding, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and I appreciate that too, because realistically at this point, you've played with almost the whole league because you've been playing for so long. I mean, the amount of guys that change teams here and there, like when you see a guy like, and this is a little bit different of a situation because Larry Dean, he's he's a beauty of a dude, right? He's an awesome guy, like. But when you see him and you're playing against him and stuff like that, what is that relationship like? Because when he was with Hamilton, awesome guy.
I don't feel nothing. It's like a war, bro. Like when people trade in war all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people that I love and I got absolutely love for, and I would never put like in a body bag or anything like that. Just you know what I'm saying? Yep. But it's still like. You're trying to take my check and I'm trying to take your check.
And people don't understand. It's what both guys signed up for.
Yes.
So if you're going to go out there and you're not going to play hard, you're not going to try to smack some people around and play as violent as you can, then you're just discrediting the game.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, if everybody plays at this level, that's a better product on the field. Let's be serious about this. People tend to be like, he's just moving like, it's because like, no bullshit. Like I move at a real fast pace to be this big. You know what I mean? I'm a big dude and I can get the A to Z really fast. It's not common. It's not normal. Like that's what people don't get. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's why you've been around for so long. That's why you've been where you are, right? And actually, one thing I do want to, because I was so curious about it, and for as long as you've played, I have maybe seen you miss, like off the top of my head, maybe a game or two, bro. And like, so you don't.
2013 was the only year I missed the football game because of injury, and then after 2013, I've never missed a practice. I've never missed a game for being hurt. I never missed a practice, and I've never missed a game for being hurt.
Which is
Crazy.
Which is absolutely crazy to think, because the amount of tackles that you get every season,
bro.
Right? Which is absolute. And so, okay, so is it luck? Is it the way you prep? Is it because, listen, what people don't know about you is you don't like to lift heavy weights.
Nah, man, we don't do that.
which when you think football, right? It's like, oh yeah, you gotta lift.
That's the wrong medicine, man.
Hey, you've been taking the TB12 method before TB12 was there.
Exactly. There's some people that do the TB12 method and told me early in my career,
but man, like it's crazy to think that like Simoni doesn't lift a ton of weights. He stays in shape. He moves around. He's always running, always, doing ab core type stuff. You're still lifting weights, but you're not putting maxes up. And is that, you honestly think that's the reason you haven't missed many games?
I mean, first of all, it's always God, you know what I mean? I always I'm heavy on that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I try to stay really good in that atmosphere. And then as far as like the body, yo, like I just feel like I know my body, Daly. Like I'm one of those people, like I'm going, you know how people are like, oh, I can't do that to my body. I'm gonna give my body everything it needs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how people are like, yo, can't eat that cake right there. My body want that cake, I'm eating that cake. I treat them bad good, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yo, I listen to him, like, I'm like, bro, we ate that cake. Man, now
I take care of you.
Now we got to do four classes tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll just up the ante. Like, eat that cake. All right, let's more workouts. You know what I'm saying? We'll always up the ante. We're not running from shit. You know.
Hey, but that's the way people are gonna be listening to this, being like, "Come on, man! I thought this guy was eating chicken and rice, and that was it." No, well, what they haven't seen is. Yeah, you at the dessert table.
I think I probably ate over 1 million birthday cake tidbits since I've been in Canada. Like, yeah. No exaggeration.
Hey, if we wouldn't get to the Tim Hortons beside the stadium before you'd have all the shit tidbits left. I mean, you'd show up and be like, "No, Simoni ordered 250 packs of birthday cake." Like, dude, they must have had to bake them all for you before that.
Yeah, it got to the point where she used to be like, "Well, I'll just have it here for you in the morning." I'll put
Oh man, it was crazy. We would just sit there, pass those things around, and so people don't understand. But when you're running around every day, that don't matter, right?
For real, that's us. You don't even feel it, yeah.
Yeah, man.
With a prep, and especially in camp, man, what are you doing? Like probably like 3,000 calories a day for this. Like what?
It was like 12 miles. You do like 12 miles a day. Look down and be like, "What? I'm not supposed
to." Daly. Yo, you want to know what, Daly? It's getting sweet, bro. Like kids are gonna be playing football for a long time. Like, it's not like that.
What? They're taking it easy. This camp was easy. Is that what you're telling me?
It's like people just getting their work done, and like it's no more like, I don't know, because I miss those, like, I don't miss them, but I just appreciate those long, nasty days where I really felt like I was gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, they don't let you get to that point anymore. Like,
it's all about taking care of yourself. But I mean, man, I agree. There was always a weird balance between but that was for the people that didn't show up to this camp in shape.
Yo,
those long days would kill people. But the people that showed up for camp in shape, it was just like, oh, here we go, another long day, long day.
And everything felt, that's a good point. I never thought about that, because like I was like 4 years ago, it was the first time I realized, like, yo, people really don't do nothing all off season and come to
bro, nothing. Like, people, and that's when I knew I was gonna be like, okay, this should be pretty easy. This sport should be pretty easy, because if people are coming in and talking about going to World Gym 2 weeks before camp, you haven't had a gym membership? You haven't been running? What?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yo, because I'll be like, people be on vacation and stuff going crazy. I'm like, man, all my money gotta go right back in me so I can be great.
Yeah, like, bro, I would think if I missed a run or a lift day, I'd be like, do you know how far behind I am? Like, when I hadn't stopped for the whole off season, but I'd miss one of them and I'd start stressing out. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to be out of shape. But then I'd start learning, like you said, maybe 2-3 years into it, start listening to people's off season programs. And they'd be like, yeah, took, about 3 months off and then just kind of started working out 2 times a week for the next month. And then, started really just running hill sprints last week.
Bro.
And you're like,
My
what?
mom's always like, yo, how do you do it like up there? And all the kids are so young. And I'm like, wow, man, this man's sweet.
Makes it easier now that they're so young, man. You can just throw them around.
Oh, there's a kid like these kids are born in like 2000, yo.
You feel old or what?
Nah, man. You know how it is. Like, you don't feel old until somebody makes you feel old.
Hey, well, listen, what I do want to close out, you get a home opener this week. I mean, tough one last week. That's how it goes though. Early on, you got to figure some stuff out. Home opener though, in the donut box.
Yeah.
Got to be fired up again. Every single time, man. It didn't matter what season it was, what the situation was. Every time you play in the home opener or a playoff game, one of those two, and Labor Day, throw that in there too. But those are it's fantastic.
It's such a great environment. Like, it's just fun. It's like you get your first day of school. You get to go see all your friends and stuff. You want to see how people been, like who are they with. Like, it's just like it's a vibe. It is. It's just a vibe. Like, because like regardless of like us being like superstar players and stuff, like we're so close to like the community that if you get a like kind of like a report. Like I can look at somebody and be like, wow, I watched you grow up, or like I could like, or you did this for me, you did like, it's just a big family, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's like how you describe those type of games, especially a home opener.
Yeah, man. And, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you guys, one loss is one loss early on in the season. That, that doesn't mean anything. It's just learn from it at this point. But I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited for the home opener. I'm going to be watching. It's going to be awesome to watch. But listen, I appreciate you coming on here. I really do, especially with the situation. I miss you a ton, man.
Hey, only Mike could do this, man. Everybody else, it would have been 10,000.
Oh man, that's funny, bro. That's funny. But listen, thanks. I do appreciate it. Yeah. And good luck with the rest of hey, tell Coach Ross I say what's up.
I got
he's the man.
He's the man.
All right, Mike. All right. So